Hello everyone, this is Teripper, and today we are playing Chivalry Medieval Warfare, just like every other day. However, today I'm going to be teaching you kind people how to use footwork to your advantage in Chivalry. And now by footwork, you might be wondering, well, what the hell do you mean by footwork, Teripper? Well, what I mean by footwork is how you use the position of your model, your body, the thing that actually gets hit and takes damage, to your advantage in the game. So, footwork is how to use the your lower body to your advantage. Matrixing is your upper body, and that is for future tactics, guaranteed. It's going to come at some point. But right now we're talking about footwork. So, to begin, footwork can be used to dodge just about every strike if you're smart enough and your opponent is stupid enough. Now, I'll be completely honest. Once you get to the higher echelons of Chivalry, you start fighting like really high-ranked players, like 30, 40 plus. Footwork becomes imperative to surviving. And I'll show you guys exactly what I mean by footwork in a moment. But it can mean the difference between life and death in almost every scenario. It has saved my life probably hundreds of times, to be honest, to my memory. This is not particularly the best map. Well, this is kind of a good map for it. There's limited range, but it's an open area. And I'm going to show you guys all three classes. I'm going to try to. Archer will perform similarly with Man-at-Arms, except you can't dodge, obviously. But dodging is not part of footwork, per se. And the fact that every class moves at a different speed makes a big difference. So, finally... Oh, another Archer. Okay. Archers are okay with teaching footwork, though. The first cool thing with footwork is that you can dodge projectiles with it. Right? If you watch my Archer Tactics video, it is pretty much just really elaborate footwork. It is just using your feet to your advantage, trying to create an invisible sort of wall between you and the enemy's damage tracers. And by damage tracers, I mean like the point of a sword or an arrow or something. Whoops. Whoops. To make it easier for you guys to visualize footwork, I'll say it is akin to predicting your opponent's strike. You don't necessarily have to predict every strike, but predicting your opponent's strike, seeing it begin, predicting its path, and then trying to sort of edge out of the way of it. Okay? I'm going to try to dodge this guy's attacks just with footwork for a moment. Wait. I'll still block, but... Okay, that was more matrixing than anything else, but that was actually also footwork. Now, footwork is a very high-risk, high-reward type thing. If you put all your trust in footwork, you will end up getting kind of screwed over a lot of the time. Alright, let me try to just deal with this guy. The basis of footwork, as well as just being an easy way to get out of strikes, I should have seen that coming, as well as being an easy way to get out of strikes, is basically to use the range of your opponent's weapon to your advantage. It is essentially going in and out of their damage range constantly, right? That's what I was doing with this guy. I was kind of playing with him a little bit. You see, while I'm within his damage range, I need to block. But while I'm outside, I can weave in and out. Oh, shit. Holy crap, he didn't even look like he struck there. Okay, that wasn't even a matrix. That was just using footwork. Okay, you have to block sometimes. Okay. It's weaving in and out of his damage range. Don't overestimate your ability to footwork, or you will get fucked up. You wanna come at me, bro? Please? Thank you. So what you saw me doing there, hopefully you saw me doing it, was he had a range of his weapon. And I was inside the range sometimes so I could poke him, hit him. But when I thought he was going to attack, I weave outside of the range, just nice, fluidly. And then I jump back in to get a poke. You see, I didn't need to block there. This is basically the whole point. That was what I just did there. That was the essence of footwork. Was basically walking. Use your feet to get out of the range of a weapon. That's footwork right there. Now, most people will not be as stupid as this guy. As in, I'm not calling him stupid per se. I'm just saying with his movements. He's being very liberal with his movements. He's basically telling me what he's going to do all the time, which is not a smart thing. Ooh, is this a knight? This is an archer. Fuck. Oop. Just some complex footwork. And archers are really easy to do this with because... Oh! Obviously, quite easy to do this with. However, what I did there, it's worth noting, footwork also involves going on the offensive. Meaning, you want to jump into your opponent's bubble for as small the amount of time as possible. And when I say bubble, I do not mean the collision thing. Somebody clarified this with me. When I said bubble in the in the beginner tactics video, I meant the range of a weapon, not the collision bubble, which was what it was referred to as a couple months ago when Tornbanner was messing with it. But when I say range bubble, I mean the range of a weapon. So the basic point of footworking is getting in and out of your opponent's range bubble. You want to go in it really fast to be offensive. And this is basically accelerated stabs, things like that. While getting out of your opponent's bubble, your opponent's range bubble, is akin to defending yourself. Greg wants to fight me. Greg's already fighting someone. Is akin to defending yourself. You are trying to get out of your opponent's damage radius and trying to save yourself from blocking. I keep saying this is the basis of footworking, but honestly, the basis of footworking is in an offensive style to stab at your opponent and get out as quick as possible. In an offensive style, no, in a defensive style, it's to save yourself from blocking. It's to save yourself the stamina. What the fuck are you doing? Oh, that right there. Just a little bit of footwork. See, I'm going to get in his junk. Poke his shield a couple times. And don't be afraid to block. You see, many people who are like rank 50 plus or 45 plus or so will just straight up not block. They don't need to. They just matrix the hell out of everything or they footwork. What we were just doing there was actually footwork. He was walking into my range. I was walking into his. We were weaving in and out, even though we weren't attacking each other. But I finally saw a moment where he's walking into my range, and I am also approaching him. Therefore, I have the momentum to walk towards him and get the stab. So let's try this. See, this is footwork right here. He's doing it as well. We're trying to stay outside of each other's damage range. Right there. Perfect example. He thought he was within my range, but I wasn't. And now I'm going to run into his range and stab him really quickly. Oh. He actually was already in my range. And that's what happens if you actually just run into someone else's damage bubble, is they will take advantage of it. They will riposte and just destroy you. Kill you. Alright, let's try this as a knight. And with a knight, it's a bit harder. Knights, you have to rely a lot more on matrixing, because you can't move as fast. However, your sheer bulk makes it so that it is a bit harder. However, the risks aren't nearly as high, because most of the time you won't be saving yourself from death, unless you are on your last bit of health. As a knight, I wouldn't recommend focusing too much on footwork. As a man-at-arms, it has saved my life countless times. A vanguard similar to the knight. I'll show you the vanguard next duel. I'll show you the vanguard after the one after the next. Ooh, that was a very aggressive use of footwork in that he kicked me, tried to get my damage range farther away from him, but he's kind of failing. Oop. You see, he had the momentum. He walked into my damage range. I wasn't back pacing fast enough. Now, if you have a shield, footwork becomes kind of redundant. Unless you don't want to get kick stunned. Then it becomes very important. Oh, finally, someone who's not a freaking archer. The last guy wasn't an archer, but whatever. So let's try to show you guys some solid defensive footwork right now. Because the knight is difficult to do defensive footwork. You can... Defensive footwork only works when when the opponent is being offensive. Okay. All right. Oop. Oop. You gonna come to get me? Whoop. I didn't have to block there. I did have to block there. It's to kind of fake your opponent. You want to make them think you're within their damage range, but you're not. And if they come too close to you and they're not going to strike, you make them pay for it. So there's a lot of different ways to be offensive and defensive with footwork. You just need to know how to use it. I think I'm going to go Vanguard now. And with a Vanguard, with any class that has dragging weapons, footwork becomes imperative. Because you need to know how your opponent is going to move if you're going to hit them with a dragged weapon. I'm about to insta-kill this guy, aren't I? Probably. Okay. And also terrain. Obviously, it's footwork. Terrain matters a lot. What are you doing? What are you doing? I have no idea. I'll show you guys that in a second. But footwork becomes imperative when you're dealing with players who drag or when you're dragging yourself. If you're dealing with a dragging player and they're dragging to you, if you run around the player, you get outside of their damage range because they're trying to drag their weapon into you, but you're not where you were before. That's a very fast process, and it's pretty hard to do. Ooh. Okay. Now, sometimes the damage bubble doesn't matter for shit. But that time it did. That time you can kind of tell is if he's walking towards me in a certain way, he's going to hit me. He's going to try to hit me. So I want to hit him first, just as he's winding up his strike. Alright? This is a very complex tactic. I wouldn't expect everyone to get the hang of this thing on the first try. It is very hard to get the hang of. It is something you normally develop over a very long period of time with Chivalry. Normally I only see competent footwork with something like most rank 30 pluses, probably maybe even 35 pluses. And I keep using rank comparisons, but the truth of it is that the higher rank people have always obviously played for longer, so they will know more tactics. And we're fighting against another archer. Yeah, that there was just some serious lack of footwork on his part. And in essence, everything in this game can be compared to footwork. Can be a corollary to footwork. Like, dragging is basically footwork except for your hands, right? You're dragging your hands, you're making them slower. Ducking is just upper body footwork. Matrixing is just upper body footwork, honestly. Kiting is footwork. Kiting is trying to go around your enemy, kind of flank them in a 1v1 sort of way. Jumping in and out of their damage bubble. So, footwork is honestly, I would say, the best defensive tactic in this game. Truly. It has saved me more times than I can count, like I've said. And it's just so useful. But if you've watched this whole video and you're confused as hell, that's okay. That is okay. You'll get the hang of it. Footwork isn't really something you can teach someone. So when everyone was suggesting to me, you should make a footwork tactic. Make a footwork tactic. I was thinking to myself, it's going to be really hard because footwork is something you develop. It's a tactic you develop on your own by just dueling and playing a bunch of Chivalry and learning through experience. But I put this out. I think it's best to get a theoretical perspective before you practically know it. And if you don't know how to use footwork at all yet, you're like a rank 20, you're just learning some advanced tactics, it is a good idea to know how to do this thing, how to do footwork as efficiently as possible before you start doing it consistently. So in essence, just an overview. There's many kinds of defensive and offensive footwork. The basic kinds for defensive are just weaving in and out of your opponent's damage radius, trying to dodge their strikes without blocking. And the offensive is just drilling into your opponent's damage range, like getting right up in their face and just getting at them, like crashing into their damage range with yours. So it's a pretty complex tactic. Don't worry if you don't get it now. You will get it eventually, I promise. Like, favorite, subscribe if I taught you guys something. Share if you think someone else might benefit from this information. And as always, have a grand day. I will see you kind people next time. I've been Teripper. See you guys.